So this is one of my favorite stories about my son when he was 19. My husband and I got married. My husband and I got married in October of 1990, and then in October of 1991, we had our son. We wanted to buy a new house, so we started going around different neighborhoods trying to see which one was a good neighborhood to move to. So we ended up getting an apartment, and the apartment was only 700 square feet. It was small. And my brother in law came to visit, and they brought their dog and their cat and their baby. And their baby was only 4 months old, and, couldn't, he was still on the floor crawling and moving around. And we have a small house. And we searched and searched for a new apartment for a long time. And when we finally found one, we searched and searched for a long time, and it was really hard because my husband and I kept going back and forth saying yes, but the other one says no, and then no, and the other one says yes. So it took a long time. My husband needed to work out of the office at home, and that was fine. It was me and my son. He was 9 months old at the time. So when it was time for a new house, we searched and searched, and then we finally found one. And we found an armchair, and we were like, oh, where are we going to put that armchair? So the way that the house was set up was that there was the kitchen, and the breakfast table was in the so there's the breakfast table, and then on the side of the breakfast table there's a wall, but on the other side of the wall is the family room. What I ended up doing was getting the armchair and sticking it in the corner on the other side of the wall in the family room. And it was such a good position for the chair because I was looking and I could see the whole living room, and I could see my son running around, and he'd run from the family room over to the breakfast table area, and the wall between it was a big wall. I liked the position of the armchair, but I needed to ask my husband first if he thought it was a good place for it. But then, my son was still running back and forth, and I thought there might be something on the other side of the wall. From where I was sitting, I could see the light above the breakfast table swaying back and forth, and I got really scared because my husband wasn't home and it was just me and my 9-month-old baby. Nobody else was home. So I picked up my son and the slowly looked around the big wall and saw and yelled and got scared because I saw 4 firemen standing there. So everybody started freaking out, and I saw all 4 of my neighbors, the ones that were on either side of me and front and back. Everybody was there and trying to see if everything was okay and what was happening. Everybody was staring, and the firemen came up and they just barged in and came up to me and were like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Of course I'm okay. Look at me. Obviously I'm okay." The fireman asked where the fireman said that the smoke alarm was going off and asked where the fire alarm was. She said, "Well, I don't." So I said, "I don't know. I have no idea." And I still don't know where those things are. And I saw the lights going off, the fire truck lights going off. And I thought to myself, "Oh my gosh, if my husband comes home right now, he's going to see all of the lights and all of the ambulance and fire truck and all of that and think that something happened to his wife and son." So I asked them if they could turn off the lights. And everyone was still looking around and trying to figure out what was going on. And then after a while, everybody left. But the firemen stayed there for another hour, trying, taking notes and looking around the house, making sure there was no fires. And when they were done, they said, "Okay, everything's fine, no fires." And I was like, "Okay, thank you." It's crazy. It's a crazy story. Another time, I went to the grocery store with my son, and when we came back home, I started bringing the bags inside the house, making the trip back and forth from the car to the house. And while I was doing that, my son stood on top of the armchair. I was wondering why my son was standing on the armchair, and I realized he was using it to reach up.